One of the main energy suppliers in Houston is under fire for the slow response after Beryl, as more than 1 million Texans are spending another day without power. Tonight, Houston reaching a boiling point with the heat index climbing up to 102 degrees.
We literally had to sleep in our small car because it was extremely hot in our home.
The dangerously hot weather causing a spike in heat-related emergencies. Several hospitals are relying on generators, including Houston's Harris Health.
The main issue right now is just the crazy increase in the number of people showing up to our emergency rooms.
At Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center, ER visits are up 80%.
The healthcare provider community has risen to the occasion. People come in on their days off.
Dr. Brad Lemke says it's not just treating the patients that's a challenge, but discharging them.
There were 15 patients that we couldn't discharge yesterday that didn't have a safe place to go to.
The state announced Houston's NRG Park is offering backup, part of it transformed into a temporary medical facility with 250 beds for people who are discharged from a hospital but can't go home because they don't have power. Will you be turning to that resource if needed?
We certainly will.
The oppressive heat is being blamed for at least 38 deaths in the U.S. And in places like Houston, with more than 1 million still without power, growing frustrations directed at CenterPoint Energy's response. Was CenterPoint prepared?
We were, yes.
CenterPoint's Darren Carroll says more than 12,000 crews are on the ground, but he anticipates roughly 500,000 customers will still be without power into next week. What do you tell those customers who will be going without power for over a week?
Yeah, first thing we do is just let them know that we understand. We acknowledge, what it must be like to live in Texas in July and not have electricity.
How would you rate CenterPoint's response after Beryl?
I don't want to put a number on it, but what I'll say is that, this is the fastest we've ever restored 1 million customers.
But the prolonged outages are forcing people to search for any form of relief. The demand for food and water is reaching another level. People are waiting at least 3 hours at distribution sites like this one. Just take a look at this line. It stretches all around this Walmart parking lot and down the road.
It's very frustrating. Tensions are high.
A crisis deepening after an unprecedented outage in the nation's fourth largest city.
When I got to the Intervale at about 9 o'clock this morning, volunteers were flooding the parking lot, trying to save every ounce of produce that they could. Now, as you can see behind me, this entire parking lot is flooded and waters are continuing to rise. Things have definitely changed around here. You can't even get to the fields that those farmers and volunteers were trying to save. Let's take a look at what it looked like this morning. It's a race against the river.
I think we have very little time.
After a long night and inches of rain, the Winooski River begins to rise over the Intervale trails on Thursday morning. Farmers watching a season of crops go to waste.
I feel powerless watching what has been predicted to happen play out in front of us, and it's only going to get worse.
But there is hope. As you can see behind me, volunteers and staff here at the Intervale Center are harvesting as much as they can before what they believe is going to be a flood. We're hearing on the radio that at about 1 or 12 p.m. that waters from the river are going to rise and cover all these fields. So right now they're harvesting potatoes. They got folks harvesting onions, just rushing to beat the clock. As tractors plow to make divots to harvest and contain the waters, the volunteers whisper fears of the future. They ponder how Vermont can survive climate change.
It's a little discouraging because it makes you realize that this may be an annual event and that many farmers are going to have to relocate their fields. And that's not easy to do.
For hours, dozens of volunteers like Sylvie Vadrine pull root vegetables out as fast as they can. The river continues to rise, and at about noon, it breaches the field. It's about 12:30 in the afternoon, and at this point, the Intervale Center has chosen to evacuate the fields. As you can see behind me, the flooding is starting to come in, and there were some serious safety concerns for the volunteers and staff members. Now, they tell me they were able to harvest about 2/3 of the potatoes they set out to get.
Your mind is kind of blown because it doesn't seem possible that this could happen again, and yet we keep saying that.
For Intervale leaders Kath Monstream and Mandy Fisher, watching their fields flood 2 years in a row feels like a real blow. And as Fisher looks forward, she says she feels angry. Vermont's plans for climate adaptation and resiliency aren't living up to her standards.
And making sure that everybody has the resources that they need to withstand chaotic weather, and right now we're nowhere near that.
Now, we spoke with Secretary of Agriculture Anson Tebbetts, and he didn't say whether or not farmers would receive assistance or reimbursement for any of their losses, but he did say it was urgent for farmers to report any damages that they did sustain.
Unbearable heat, relentless fires, and a dangerous storm. Severe weather is battering the U.S. Hurricane Beryl slammed into the Texas Gulf Coast near Galveston with strong wind and drenching rain, causing heavy damage in some areas as well as widespread flooding.
It's pretty bad. Down power lines, trees, fences, just litter and stuff, debris everywhere.
At least 2 people were killed by falling trees. Others had a narrow escape.
That tree limb right there could have been through the roof of our house instead of our shed. That one could have gone on our house instead of this way. So we'd just be grateful.
Now downgraded to a tropical storm, Beryl has knocked out power to more than 1 million households and disrupted airline traffic. Near Santa Barbara, California's biggest fire of the year has burned more than 8,000 hectares and forced evacuations. Other fires are burning across the state. Firefighters fought back a blaze threatening homes in Placerville.
When we seen it right there, it was so close. I mean, we seen it and it was like, oh wow.
Fighting the fires is made more difficult by an intense heat wave enveloping the West. Temperatures broke records. In Death Valley National Park, typically one of the hottest places on Earth, at least 1 visitor died of heat-related causes when the temperature neared the all-time planet-wide record of 54.4 degrees.
They're saying these temperatures that we're seeing will likely challenge current records, if not break them.
Despite the blistering sun, tourists came out to be part of the experience.
Hot. It's hot.
The intense heat wave is forecast to continue in California and other western states till the end of the week. Extreme heat kills more people globally in an average year than any other weather event, including hurricanes and floods.
Whipping winds and blistering heat tonight fueling yet another massive fire in California. The lake fire in Santa Barbara County exploding to more than 12,000 acres with no containment, prompting evacuation warnings in the popular wine tasting region this holiday weekend. Flames seen just half a mile from the famous Neverland Ranch. The inferno among 18 burning statewide. The National Guard rescuing a firefighter who got trapped battling the basin fire outside Fresno. All this happening amid a dangerous coast-to-coast heat wave. Palm Springs hitting a record high Friday of 124 degrees.
The temperatures just keep going up. It just seems to be increasingly worse and worse each year.
Nationwide, historic heat scorching places like Las Vegas, which could tie its record of 117 degrees on Sunday. Raleigh, North Carolina, just reached its record high of 106. And back in the West, Death Valley set to hit an astonishing 128, the hottest place in the country.
When you step out in these extreme temperatures, it's like stepping out into an oven.
Sweltering temperatures of 118 also baking Phoenix.
It's going to feel like we're on the barbecue cooking.
So far this year in Maricopa County, there's been 175 suspected heat-related deaths. The Phoenix Fire Department saying they're working round the clock.
How busy is your fire department right now?
We're extremely busy during the day. We're going on multiple heat-related emergencies, but our firefighters are prepared. The city of Phoenix gives us every resource to go out there and safely operate.
Waikiki Beach is the spot for summertime visitors.
We're on our honeymoon from Australia, so here for a week, then off to the mainland, Vegas and Florida.
So I'm out here with my wife. We're enjoying about 9 days or so out here on the lovely island, just being bums, enjoying the beach, eating the delicious food, enjoying the culture, just doing the tourist thing.
But something as innocent as a dip in the water can have deadly results. 2 years ago, a man from Michigan died after snorkeling in waters off Maui. His wife believes he suffered from symptoms of rope. They are now suing the Hawaii Tourism Authority, Hawaii Visitors and Conventions Bureau, and the hotel they stayed at, saying all those groups should have warned them about the potential danger. ROPE stands for Rapid Onset Pulmonary Edema. The victim's family believes partially caused by the long flights here.
You start feeling like you got something in your lungs, and then you probably the breaths become more shallow, and the next thing you know, maybe some coughing, and then you're feeling very short of breath. and ultimately could lead to pulmonary arrest, meaning you don't breathe and you could die.
Dr. Tony Trepofsky at Doctors of Waikiki sees tourists all the time.
When people are on vacation, it's like they have immortality. They can do anything, and they haven't done anything all year. And the next thing you know, they're hiking, going crazy and everything, which is great, but they get hurt because their body's not used to doing all those kind of things.
Definitely for us, when we came here, we wanted to make sure we spent a lot of time here so that we didn't have to cram a lot of activities in once.
Dr. T's tips: take it easy, wear sunscreen, and be careful when trying new things like surfing or snorkeling.
Now to the dangerous weather. At least 2 tornadoes overnight as the remnants of Hurricane Beryl move north, and 1 million remain without power in Texas in the life-threatening heat. Victor Okendo is in Houston with the latest. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Michael. This is a staging area for the main utility in the region, CenterPoint Energy. They have 300 of these line trucks here ready to be deployed. Their full force will be out today, racing to restore power to the nearly 1.4 million homes and businesses still in the dark.
I just got missed by a tornado, guys.
Overnight, tornadoes spawned by the remnants of Hurricane Beryl tearing through southern Indiana.
I don't know what to do. I'm just here for some training.
Debris flying through the air, power lines down, buildings damaged. Twisters coming on the heels of Hurricane Beryl that struck Texas and Louisiana, leaving at least 8 people dead. More than 1 million still left without power to swelter in the Texas heat.
It was a long, stuffy night, so I was tossing and turning because I'm pregnant and I'm uncomfortable.
We're seeing this all over Houston. Long lines for those critical supplies like gas. Here at this gas station, the lines wrap around the block in every direction. Blistering heat hitting communities from coast to coast. Temperatures shattering records. In Arizona, Lake Havasu reaching 120 degrees, where a 4-month-old child was transported for heat-related illness to the hospital Friday, later passing away. The cause of death has not yet been determined. And despite the danger posed by the heat, tourists flocking to Death Valley National Park. CenterPoint Energy still can't say when power will be fully restored as the region grapples with this dangerous heat. Another heat advisory for Houston today with the heat index above 100 degrees.
This has been a Well Prepared Terrier 2024 production.